The topic of this week, as you know, is social mobility and inequality and how that appears on social media. So in Trinidad, Jolina had to learn very quickly the words that expressed and perhaps maintained social differences.
Well, that's right. There are these two words in Trinidad. One is stush, which means posh or pretentious, and the other is ghetto, which kind of implies low class or vulgar. And people kind of use them in relation to how people dress or how they behave at parties.
Yeah, but these expressions are difficult. For instance, if you think of the Brazilian field side, you would see lower income people identifying positively with the expression ghetto, because ghetto is how it was a reference to their humble origins. I guess it was different in Trinidad.
Well, no. So in Trinidad, ghetto means more loud and cheap and tacky. And over-sexualized. There's a bit more of a negative racial element that's usually directed at Afro-Trinidadians.
Okay, Joe, but what does this have to do with social media?
Well, in many of our field sites, having access to social media seemed to be much less of a class issue than we previously thought it was. So for example, in Trinidad, people, even with low income, can have mobile phones as hand-me-downs, and they can be on social media through cheaper prepaid plans. But when you look at the content of what they post, this is how class differences show through. So working class people will tend to post more around drinking and socializing, maybe at the beach or with friends, and they'd be much more explicit about posting things around revealing their feelings, not just statuses, but also song lyrics, links to music videos, and things like religious memes.
Well, this is pretty similar to what I saw in the field site in Brazil. So you would see, for instance, low-income people posing with very expensive whiskey bottles.
Well, yeah, in Trinidad, wealthier people will post with a cocktail in an expensive restaurant or bar. They want to be seen with international foods rather than local, and they'll post photos of vacations abroad as well.
So do you think that people see this in terms of Stush and Ghetto?
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's the point. It kind of works both ways. So the way that ghetto might be used in a derogatory way, so can the word stush. So here's an example from my field site. So this lady posted a photo of focaccia, and people would see the image and they would look at it and they would say, oh yeah, that looking real good, but they meant it in, a way that kind of would embarrass her or ridicule her for showing off and for, showing that she's better than everyone else because she posted this exotic, different international food.
Okay, so it seems like we have learned two things. The first one is that people have equal access to social media, but the fact that they are there does not keep them from showing their social differences online. And the second thing is that it seems like social media has also become, or can become also, a battleground where people are criticized for either being pretentious or for being vulgar.